We are recording.
Thank you. So Malcolm said he'll just be a few minutes late. And is there anybody online, Pete? Sophia said she's gonna try and she might try and make it.
Yes, Donnie, I'll have talk now, has their hand raised.
Yes, I am flying, Danny.
Hi, Danny. I'm Matt. I don't know if I've met. We may have met.
I'm not sure. It's nice to meet you.
It's good to meet you. Unfortunately, I'm taking over for Sonia, so
Okay.
which is huge shoes to fill. So, and I'm just gonna wait one more minute, and then we'll get going on the meeting so we can be done.
It's going wild. Yeah, it's a wild transition. It's good, yeah. Lot and a learning curve, right? Yeah, which is normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had a dinner up there.
Yeah.
Like 2 days or last week.
Last week, yeah. Yeah, we have it every Thursday.
I remember driving by.
Oh, you
See
saw
all
how
the
nice.
cars, yeah.
I know, wasn't it cute having it outside? Just so charming. Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
The planning, it must be crazy right now. Got the
We're getting there, yeah. Doing both, the expansion plans and the
And
campaign.
running the library.
And running
you
the
know,
library.
And no big deal.
So, Lindsay has become assistant director,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
That's public,
Great.
so that she can pick up some of the things that are falling off my
Yeah.
plate,
But
so, yeah.
I know it's a lot of work, and it's like ever since I moved here, it's been like a community heart of the of Orono. It's really helpful for me as a stay-at-home dad
Sure.
to show up and meet other people and have kids read to, then play some music. Good place. All right, well, we'll officially get started here. And we'll introduce ourselves. I'll start. I'm Matthew Powers, and I'm on the town council, and I'm the town council liaison to the DEIB committee. And so I run this particular meeting, but I don't run the meeting. That's up to the people who come here. And so thank you for everyone who's involved. And Danny, can we start next with you?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm not sure how to show my video. Hold on one second. I'll turn it on in just a moment. My name is Danny. I'm actually a fellow student of the University of Maine, currently attending Eden Seminary. I am interested in social justice. I work as a professor at 2 universities, and so I am constantly seeking ways to teach diversity education and also raise awareness of diversity in our Orono community. So thank you. Glad to be here tonight.
Thank you. I'll have Cecilia introduce herself.
Well,
Cecilia,
here's one.
she's not officially on the committee yet, but yes, it will happen. So
Okay.
please introduce yourself.
Cecilia Cobo-Lewis. I think I actually know everybody in the room, which is nice. So, Well, I guess I'm here for many reasons. When I talked with Sonia and Sarah, they wanted somebody who had some knowledge or experience with disability. And then Sonia told me also that, well, you're also Hispanic and your husband's Jewish and you're not and whatever. So there's just like quite a lot of things. And I did live in some very diverse places. So I just wanted to come back and try to do some things in Orono and for the community since I'd spent so much time not being able to.
Thank you.
I'm Summer Sunderland and I am the new director of the Wilson Center.
Nice.
And I'm a social worker and I've been a therapist working in mental health for 3 decades. And so I'm just really passionate about social justice and I joined this. This is my second meeting, I think. So I'm a new member and I became an empty nester last year and felt like, okay, I have a little more space. So what do I want to add in? And decided to add this in because I'm passionate about it. And now I've also added in a new job. So we'll see how that all goes. Yeah, so thanks. Nice to meet you.
Lori Carpenter, I'm the library director and also one of the 2 town employees who are representatives for this committee. So it's myself and Chief Dan Merrill. So big turn's coming. Actually, I think I'll be coming mostly, but Dan and I get together. So yeah, I guess that's it. I'm the town representative on this committee.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
So the first thing I wanted to do, and let me hand this out. So I'm sorry, Danny, I should have emailed this to you, but we had a meeting in the summer where we had lots of plans and I wanted to just all kind of read them out as we go and discuss kind of how we see this moving forward on the things that we might have. I have to apologize. Some of these things were on my plate that I did not get done, and that was partly because of family issues that happened over the summer for me, including helping my sibling with her business and being learning a new job and being extraordinarily busy with that. But with that said, my apologies anyways. But we'll go through these, I'll read them out and we'll talk about the plans that we were thinking of for the fall and maybe discuss some of the reasoning behind why we thought they might be important if we feel like it. So one of the things we were thinking is plan a retreat for the committee members. One of them, this is particularly important to me because I'm new to DEIB. It's not something that I have had any training with, and I support what I know about DEIB, but it would be nice for me to be trained. And so part of this would be to have somebody explore having just like a retreat that we were thinking of maybe a few hours on a weekend at somebody's house in the backyard where we could have somebody come and explain DEIB either to me and to new members. And also we would like, as part of that, we would invite our new town manager, Clint, to come as part of that, so that both of us could be on the same page with the DEIB and the importance and know more about it. And I was going to reach out and figure out what the rules would be for us to have retreat. Like, is this something that we would need to be noticed? Is this something that we would have, we could have in somebody's backyard? Would we have to have it here? Would it have to be online? And with Clint coming in and starting, I also didn't feel a lot of pressure on myself to try and make that a particular priority until he's a little bit more set. And so I think this is something that we can follow up with him and see what the rules are around whether we can have this retreat and how that would work. Obviously, I think, does the library have retreats?
We have training days.
Training days.
One
It
training
could be
day
something
every
like
year.
that. I
Yeah.
mean, we're calling it a retreat, but it could be a training. We could gain it to a training day or
The
something
Winston
like that.
Center is also a great space.
Yeah, the Wilson Center would be a good space. Yeah. Um, so, so we should I should follow up with that, with Clint. So I will, put that on my plate. Cause that seems like what I should be doing. And then as part of that, also Malcolm brought up the fact that I'm not the only one in the community who may have never really been confronted with or been trained with DEIB. And so maybe there would be some opportunity to invite the community and those who are interested in it to come and be trained in DEIB. And so that would be a separate thing. And as part of that, Malcolm and Summer were going to possibly contact maybe some different groups who might be involved in that kind of training or that
So
kind
I
of
don't know
thing.
if I'm speaking out
Yeah.
of turn, but.
No, just please interrupt. This is just throwing these
So,
ideas.
As part of my report, I was going to talk about
Okay.
how the staff has worked with Dustin Ward of It Is Time. Last year we did, and then it was put on hold with all the staff transitions that we
Yeah.
were having. So we kind of put him off for the summer, saying, let's get at least the new town manager on board.
Yeah, that makes
Talk
sense.
about steps forward. So there are pieces of his contract that have not been complete. I do know that Clinton had a conversation with him recently, sometime probably yesterday, I think, this week. And there may be a community component in what they were talking
Hey, that
about.
would be really nice.
So-
We should ask him.
So in your conversation with Clinton. that may
Okay,
come
I'll
up.
put that on that, yeah.
But I don't know details. All I know
Okay.
is that there may be a community component. And he's an excellent trainer.
Okay, this sounds really helpful here. So what I can say is I have talked to Clint. So coming down on this, so the next item that we had was to connect with the new town manager in August and provide him with information on the history of the DEIB committee. And check in on how he may want to be involved with this committee, and also as part of that, provide background to signage and other issues that we were working with the Penobscot Nation. And so I've talked to Clint about where he is on this, and he's had very constructive conversations with different community members in the Penobscot Nation, and this is just an ongoing thing. And he's aware and he understands the kind of the history. And right now, in terms of the signage, we're just in the process of making sure that we've sent a letter to the Penobscot Nation and from the town council, and we're just waiting for a response if they want to give it, and if not, we're fine with that too. So we're just in the process of waiting, but he understands and he's been updated on a lot of it, although there may be more updates. As always, we're learning, but he's already in conversations with members of the Penobscot Nation on other really cool opportunities where we may be involved with maybe new signs for some of the trails in town, and some other events, maybe like a cultural like taking stock of the cultural heritage within Orono from the Penobscot perspective, from people who are in the tribe, who are professionals at that. So these are all ongoing things. So I'm just updating you as to where we are with that. And so it sounds very productive. And then, so the next item was to check in with community members about current level of interest in staying on the committee in phase 2, and I've done this. So we're still in the process of working this out, but I've done that, and some people who are no longer have made sure that they're no longer involved. They've let me know. And then we will invite Rob Laraway to talk to us on the comprehensive plan. He couldn't come tonight, but he will either share with me how we can be involved, and I will give you an update next meeting, or we'll have him come and give us an update on that. All right, so that's kind of the update from the summer. Do you have any questions, Danny? Did that make any sense at all? Could you hear me?
Yes, it did make sense.
Okay, great. Please interrupt if you have any questions, and you can just talk and interrupt us. All right, so that was kind of the follow-up, and now we've gotten part of the staff DIB report. Is there anything more you wanted to say about?
Because
Okay,
everything was put on hold while we were transitioning to new staff, so I
Right.
think we're pretty fully staffed at this point.
great, great. Well, we have I've been I think I want to start a discussion for you guys. This is just to start a discussion on ways that we might consider giving recommendations as a committee of how we might make this space where people come into as inclusive and as inviting, and a place where people feel like they belong. And so this is where I introduce it to us as a council, and we start putting on our hats to think of recommendations. Obviously, it's up to the town council to implement any recommendations we give. So you can give recommendations and they may or may not want to implement them, but I think what we want to do is put on our thinking hats on how we can make this space as people from all sorts of diverse backgrounds come into this space. This is their space. This is their council chamber. This is their town. How we can make it as inviting to all sorts of people as possible. So does anybody have any discussion item as you're thinking about it? It may be something that we just need to take home and think about. I'm still trying to process it. Welcome, Malcolm, come on in, come sit.
I would like to add something to that conversation.
Sure.
I believe that one of the things that we've done in the past with the advertising, we really need to think about when we're having events or when we're having, inviting people to these meetings that we are placing, different flyers and elements around the areas where people are riding buses. I want to say that because I think it's really important that we're able to get those that are actually using the community services, possibly those, near the PCHC, in Orono, like places where we can find those that are, it maybe lower income that want to be a part of our community and make those changes. I think that their voices need to be heard and they need to be invited to the table.
Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't hear quite that first part because it sounded like you had actionable things that could be done for this. Could you repeat those for me?
Yes, I can definitely do that. I would like to first of all locate areas where we could actually support those who may have different financial situations, or those that may ride the bus, those that may be at the PCHC. I want these to be visible, like in Hannaford, also Walmart, in Orono. It would be really helpful overall to have a myriad of places where we are advertising rather than just around the university community or places where we will get a certain type of person possibly to come in. I think what we need is to really be diverse about who we are inviting here. I also want to share, and I've shared this at the last meeting that we had before the summer. I wanted to share that I think it would be really important in terms of our really thinking about the Black community members that we have and other community members of color, that we find what they like, kind of activities and events that they want to go to. Last year, I was planning a Black history piece until my wife died and then everything just kind of went by the wayside. But I would like to offer something like that again, possibly to draw in that diversity.
Yeah, I think that that's super important, and I also think that that would be something that if you provide any events and have ideas, or you know of people who are providing events or having ideas for in the vein that you're talking about, I think many people on the council would like to do what we can to promote it. So and as we are understaffed, still at the town, it would probably kind of fall on some of us, but I think that's a really important thing, and I'd like to see those things promoted. We've promoted other things in the past where we've just put out flyers and walked around town, and helped tape them up on businesses. So I think that's a really great idea, and so, yeah, I'd like to support that as much as possible as we move forward. Do you have any other ideas of how we can maybe promote people to do those things?
I mean, one of the things that I would consider is the Black Student Alliance on campus, possibly.
So-
You know,
Okay.
getting some people that are you able to hear me?
I don't have the best of hearing. I think most people can. I think I'm the one
Oh,
who
thanks,
is.
Mark. I think it might be the technology, but I was saying, looking at the Black Student Alliance and some of the student campuses, Anila is wonderful, thinking about, those different types of resources to really get the word out. I think that would be really helpful in terms of that. I think we need to look at it from a perspective of not only, how do we get people of color to come to our events, but also, not only socioeconomic, but I think it would be really great to reach out to diverse religions as well, to really get them involved in the things that we're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, I really like what you're saying here, me personally, but.
And so in my new role, I will be slowly meeting a lot of these people, and so I can keep it in mind to maybe wear 2 hats as I'm doing that. Bring up Wilson Center and town stuff.
What are you thinking, Malcolm?
What are we talking about? Is it an event?
No, let me take you back one step, because this is, we had a very specific thing we were talking about and we broadened it out, and I think in a very constructive and helpful way. So we're talking right now, how can we make this space here, or start thinking about recommending to the council how we might make this space more welcoming to diverse people. What, and obviously the council will either take our recommendations or they won't, but I'm talking about this space and that space, and maybe even down where people interact with the town.
That would be one of the priorities, is where people have to go in and
Yep,
register their car and
absolutely, right?
pay taxes.
Is there ways that we can make it welcoming? And then here, when the council is here, we have these people up on a dais, and I would love to have people, when they first come in, feel like, yeah, this is a place for me too, as much as possible. We can never, make it completely that way, but me, from a council standpoint, would love as much as possible. And if this is the best we can do, I'm fine with that too. But if there's ideas that can make, as people walk through the building, as they come into this council chamber, feel like, yeah, this is where I belong. Also, this is my town, this is my community.
And
so-
throw an idea, or?
Yeah.
2 ideas, I guess. My first idea was just looking around and like, it feels pretty white, upper middle class in here to me. And I don't know exactly what I mean by that, but, and so could we at least have art by different people in here, different groups in here, and like as an ongoing thing, but also could we have some kind of rotating art. My words are failing me, like, what is that when you have like
Yeah.
A
like
gallery.
a showing or whatever,
It's like a
and you know,
gallery.
like you could have like,
Reading gallery.
and like making a point of having like people of color and queer and like all these different kind of artists like that we're showcasing. And then we're also, inviting those people in more by doing that, and then they'll invite their friends and be like, hey, go see my art at this place. But also, it's gonna bring a really different vibe into the place. The vibe right now is pretty bland. No offense to whoever decorated, but
No,
if we're thinking diversity, like
Yeah, I
this is
mean,
quite it.
this
I
is an
like to-
institution, right?
Yeah.
It's an institutional place and there's a place for that and there's a place for different aspects of that. But we can make recommendations on how hopefully we can make people feel comfortable within that institutional structure. Because we have to have both, right? We can't, you know, it has to function as it functions, but I think it can be, you know, it can be both things at once,
I
I
think
feel.
so.
I don't know. And again, these are just recommendations. We're not deciding anything, but we can start recommending things to the council and they can look at it and say, yeah, that's a good recommendation, or no, I want to keep it as is. And that's not our,
Even just you posing that question made me look around differently, right? Like even just posing the question is
yeah.
helpful.
And I think it's important to walk through the building and just put on your thinking hats about it and just think of, you know, what could be and it's, again, this is something that I want to place into your mind. And then maybe next meeting we'll follow up with this with ideas, and then maybe we can write a recommendation with ideas and then let the structure move from there. Does that make sense? I don't know. Am I saying this correctly? Does this make sense to people? Please stop me. if I'm not. Is there any public comment? Is there anything else we want to say? I don't want to move on too quickly. Malcolm,
Pondering.
Lori?
Yeah, pondering too, just think, you know. Having some ideas about downstairs, but I guess I wouldn't wanna throw them out there without talking to Shelley.
Oh, absolutely not.
You know,
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah,
I think there's
absolutely
some
not.
things that I'm gonna check in for.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like
absolutely.
the idea of coming back next time with ideas. I mean, oftentimes it takes a while to think
Yeah.
about what might work.
Yeah, you know, it's a process and I think it's good to have different voices come in as we start laying out things and the town and the council starts talking about it. That gives people a chance to talk about it. I think it's good too. We're gonna go into, if we don't have any public comment, is there any hands raised, Pete? I think this is everybody here, right? All right, I think this is everybody. All right, we're gonna go into executive. Yeah, sure.
We missed
Yeah.
the agenda tonight. Is it on our agenda tonight or at some point to talk about what input the BEIB committee might have into the transit planning process?
Yes, it's not officially here, but I'm going to interject something between 7 and 8, just real quick, because I've got 3 things that I don't know. I'm probably not following the rules, but that have been brought up to me since this was put in. And I'm just gonna say what they are. It's gonna be like it's like an update. It's the committee head update, but we won't discuss them. I want you to go home and think about them and bring them back the next time, okay? Because I don't know if we can, I don't know what the rules are. Do you know the rules there?
I think this is I don't know. I shouldn't
Informal.
say- I think it's pretty informal.
Okay, then we can discuss them. I'm
Yeah.
gonna just say, we'll discuss them in a minute. But what I want to do is go into the executive session. You're welcome to stay here like you did last time. This is the executive session where we discuss.
Finally get you officially on.
Yeah, because there's enough of us here to vote.
Not adjacent, but
So,
on.
yeah, so Danny, we're going to discuss, we've already had a discussion and a vote, but there wasn't enough of us for a quorum to vote in Cecilia to be an official member. And so she's here acting right now, not as a member, but I'm going to just say a few words now that we're in this. We are now going into executive session. I'm declaring it pursuant to 1 MRSA 405(6)A to discuss potential new committee member. And this is Cecilia Cobo Lewis, where you can turn it back on. All right, well, thank you.
I did have a question backing up
Yep.
just a second.
Yeah,
Part about making our building more inclusive and representative.
yeah,
Do we, and forgive me if we already have this somewhere, but do we have like information on the town? Like ethnic and also I guess socioeconomic, just to have an idea of more of who the town currently is. So I was looking at some of the historical stuff and it
Yeah.
sounded like in the past, there was a larger Italian population and there's a little bit, quite a bit about our past history. But if we want to make it look like who we are, it might help to know who we are. 'Cause I know
That might
there's
be
the
part of the
mosque as
census.
well as the
Yeah.
university. So,
So as far as the town, I think that would be part of a recent census. I don't know when the last one was done. But as far as the university, I'm not sure. I'm sure they have some kind of statistics.
Yeah.
Maybe
There,
get it up somewhere, like,
yeah, and I haven't looked into it, so I mean, maybe it's, maybe it's
and
just a
maybe there's
Google
that
search.
information,
yeah.
economic development or something, or community, community development department, not sure. I can find out. Yeah, that'd probably.
Have we made any effort to invite any college students to be on this committee?
Carlos is a college student.
Both the first and the second iteration were like half college students.
Oh, okay. And then they probably moved on, because it's they don't stay around here forever.
we're thinking of asking another college student, possibly he was, so.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's important. That was one of the things I was gonna bring up here. So I have a couple of things that I wanted to just talk about before we adjourn.
And like elderly, like I'm just trying to think, like, how can we
Yeah.
have as many different populations represented somehow as possible? Like, do we have any elderly people? On the
On the committee.
Yeah, like, are they represented at all?
Not not like in the current iteration, like.
I guess it depends on how you define out
Okay.
elderly.
Yeah.
Are
I
you
would say
thinking
past
like the
working
community that,
age.
the housing that the
Yeah.
older housing,
Yeah.
or the senior housing that's around that, it's a community kind of within a community.
Yeah,
Maybe someone in Dirigal Pines who would be willing to, who would be
Right.
interested in this.
we
I
can
did
all
find
keep that in
just
mind.
general information about ethnic makeup of Orono, 87.75 white. Which is not surprising. Asian is 4.42. And I saw Hispanic 3.4 Hispanic, so it sounds like Asian Hispanic. Maybe the other, the closest to white. But that's just a quick Google. Main census data.
Yeah. I want us to think really broadly too, about like welcoming people, broadly about, like you were thinking, like age. Broadly as in like different community groups, college kids. Or college age, adults, I shouldn't, they're not kids, but,
And I'm really glad that Danny brought up class because, and like, think that's really important, and I don't think there's enough representation of different classes. I think that's really, we should really try hard to get more representation here.
I also think it's important to think about, like, the history, incorporating the different communities that have historically been here for a number of reasons. Me personally, one of them is that it shows that Orono, it is always changing, right? It reminds people that there are always new groups who are coming that we need to welcome. Reminds us that there are always groups that are leaving that we need to say goodbye to in as gracious a way as possible, and that we should understand that change. Part of belonging is accepting that things are not set in stone. There are themes that continue, and we want to embrace those themes. We want to embrace those, but that, like, part of belonging is to understand that change, I don't know, for me, that change has occurred and will continue to occur, and that we should celebrate some of that, you know, and yeah, I don't know, is there anything
Beautifully
else?
said, thanks.
But
Beautifully said, thanks.
so, so there's three issues that I want us to think of, for me. And that is the route, there's route to, where the committee, the town council is in the process, the community is in the process. The town of Orono is in the process of considering possible big changes on Route 2, right? And one of those things that I think we should, as a DEIB committee, along with making this space welcoming, is to understand our recommendations as to how any of those changes that occur to Route 2, including, you know, sidewalks and whatnot, how that can be the most inclusive as possible, and the effects of maybe some of the proposed changes to maybe people who with disabilities, people who are in wheelchairs, maybe those types of things. And what does it mean to make Orono this place with the possible changes coming? And so I would like us to think about that so that we can have some sort of recommendation to the town council of what we would like to see be priorities as this moves forward in terms of the DEIB committee. Does that understand? Does that incorporate it? Is there anything you would like to add to that, Mel?
Well, that's kind of what I'm wondering about. At first I was picturing the physical.
Mhm.
There's a sidewalk, there's a curb, there's a bike lane, there's traffic, and then I was picturing the people. Okay, there are people who use bicycles. You know, who doesn't use bicycles in traffic is children and elderly. And actually, Orono has a lot of children and elderly. And then when Danny was talking about whatever she was talking about when I got here, and I was hearing those like who can get here, not just who feels reflected in the art present, but who can even get here,
Right.
then that put me back to bus users and like
Right.
who
Oh, that's
both up and down there's this really privileged strip of Route 2 where you get there, you're good, but how do you get there if you're from further out, and who can access it? So yeah, I guess I'm thinking about transit even more than cars or bicycles for the able-bodied active adults. So I guess I'm thinking about all of that and what it means for Orono to be both a place and a corridor.
Mhm.
Just because I was so surprised in the last week. I mean, every August, September, I'm surprised students come back, there's a lot of congestion, but seriously, I was more surprised this year, and I thought, I don't know what's different. I mean, I don't know if the number of employees is higher at the university, if the number of students is higher, which it is. This is a record enrollment year for them. If it's not about the university, but about other employers who've located in town, I understand they're not built up fully yet, so it's unlikely that it's like a whole bunch of people who are working at Tyler Technologies all at once. But they will be built up more. And where else do we have these little employment centers that bring people into Orono who don't live in Orono? Just started thinking of those long-term changes, like how much do we become the place people drive through versus the place people live and relate to each other? And the driving is obviously an issue. And so the alleviating congestion and traffic, that's where this design project started. But I'm really interested in the human elements of it. Like, how do we improve the equity of access for people whose lives will have different patterns going into the future? Sorry, this is not all thought out,
No.
but
It's great because it just spurs ideas, yeah. Just making me think of a couple of things. One is that we are meeting past bus hours. And
Yep.
so if we did want to invite a wider range of people here, we're not making the time accessible, and that I think we should, even before we have the people, we should make the time accessible during bus hours.
what would it take to expand bus hours, I guess?
A lot, there's a
Yeah,
lot of
the
people working on that.
Weekend and the,
Yeah, there's people
nights.
that have been actively working on that, and I
Yeah.
think it's like, they need more volunteers, I think, to keep, like, I think people are trying to make that happen, yeah. I don't know what it would take, but I know people that are working on it, and trying hard for it.
I just wanted
And
to add,
also,
oh,
Yes, Danny?
I just wanted to add also, we've had the community dinners from the past year, and that was very successful. I noticed, to be honest with you, if I am someone that rides a bus, there were a lot of people that were there that were on the bus route that were able to get there. And so I do think that this ability to really think about how to get transportation to everyone is very important. Particularly, and I think if we also want people to come from all walks of life to come to, events like this, there's definitely going to have to be food. That's just my thought on that. Because I think food draws people together, and it's definitely representative of many cultures. So I think really that transportation piece is essential. And if we want people to even get to this building or to come to this, we have to give them a reason why.
Thank you.
and another thought I was having was, if there's a way to find out, I assume, but this might be a naive assumption, that any designing that we're doing for these areas, they have an accessibility consultant. But from what I've been reading, like online with just different people that I follow who are disabled, like, they're often saying like they didn't consult anybody who's actually disabled, and like, this doesn't actually work for me. And so making sure that that's happening with any design that's happening, I think might be a role for us to just check in and make sure that that's happening.
that's good, we can ask that question.
Right.
So the second, the second thing that I just want us to think about, and I've been thinking about it because I have to say, I've been upset, and not probably in a healthy way. And I've been upset because I feel like, we have the town of Orono, and then we have the university. And they are like black boxes that don't talk to each other, and I get upset with that in ways that aren't healthy, probably during the council meeting. And so just thinking about it since yesterday, since we had a council meeting, that I got upset about it. Thinking about what can we do, and I realized I don't know how inclusive or what we do and how like truly we reach out to college students as the town of Warren. And the administration comes where the students go or how they are. And I don't know, this is just throwing this out, and I don't have any answers, and I don't have a way forward, and I don't have anything except to think, well, one, college students love food, but other than that, like, is there a reason, is there a way that we can be more inclusive and have college students feel like they belong to Orono, not just the university, but it's just a thought. I want you guys to think about it. You don't have to, there's no solution. There's no like that I'm thinking. I want us to think about it for possibility down the future.
Yeah.
Recommendations to the town council, like, what do you, like, for me, instead of getting mad, what are you gonna do about it? Like, how are you gonna get, college students involved? Cause really, in the end, that's really like where feeling like this is my town, not just I'm at the university, or is that even important to us? It's just something that came to me because it's a huge portion of our town for a certain amount of the year, right? And if we're not thinking about inclusion and belonging to them too, I'm not saying that they will ever come here, but I do think it's important maybe to think about it, and maybe that changes how I view my position on the town council too, instead of being reactionary, being proactive in both thought and then moving forward, because I want to have a good relationship with the university, but really that includes the students, not just administration. And then all I think of being in an administrative role is other administrations, but that's not, they're there because the students are there.
There
We're
is kind
here
of an
because the town is
opportunity
here,
This
right?
year, because the election, the different types of elections were all lined up
Mhm.
on the one. And that was part of what you're saying, the vision for unification and having the same concerns, having the same timetable. And there was the thought, well, how are the college students who just got there 2 months ago gonna know how to vote if the question is the hours of the town dump or something
Yeah.
that doesn't affect them? But like the opportunity that it seems like is there this year as the first year is the proactive reach out and educate with voter forums though. Yes, there's federal election, but there's also the local, and what this means in Orono is, and here's how you're involved.
Yeah.
So actual voter ed could be an initiative. And is this the polling place or is it back at the,
I
Campus.
believe it's gonna be a campus
I
again.
hope it's gonna be on
Yep.
campus.
yeah?
This is not gonna be big enough for
Big,
everybody.
yeah.
It should, I think it's at the Collins Center again, because I don't think they've.
Well, that'll be
done-
better for the transportation, right? Because people from anywhere can get on the shuttle, go
Yeah,
there,
I think it'll be at the Collins Center again, but I haven't talked to Shelley to double check that.
or the field house.
It's been at the field.
It has been, but it wasn't last time because the field house was still under reconstruction, but it might be back at the field house. I don't think.
I think one of the things that I want to add is in order to get college students involved, we have to have events that are going to interest them. I think that
Yep.
a lot of the things that we plan are not necessarily with them in mind. And in addition, I think one of the things that really needs to happen is that they need to see the value of Orono. What does Orono have to offer? Because many of the students that I went to school with use this as a turning stone and they left. So if we can show them what Orono is all about, then perhaps that's a way to do it, through those events, through
Yeah.
those activities, through marketing and really getting things towards getting them involved. I think that would be really helpful.
Thank you, yeah. And then those, yeah,
Just to throw a page from like social work school out here, like anytime you want to get involvement, you actually have to like start with a lot of conversations and finding out what people need, what people value, what people want, rather than just, we're throwing this cool stuff out and like, we want you to come. Like, what would you like to come to? Like what would be valuable for you? And just starting to have more of those conversations. And I liked your question, like, how does the town reach out
Yeah.
to the students? Like, is there any formal thing happening or even informal thing happening? Like, how do we start more communication even before we try to even, I mean, you can do both at the same time, but at least in addition to, we just want to get them to come to us. Like, how do we have more communication channels happening?
it's something to think about. And again, I don't know at all what to do about it, but I do think that as a DEIB committee, we should have that in the back of our minds, is that we want to have
I agree.
different communities feel like they belong here, and one of those communities is the college students, but
Well, I'm now seeing college students a
Yep.
lot, and so, again, I'm just gonna keep this
Yeah.
in my mind,
Great.
and when I get the chance, I'm gonna talk to people and just, again, just start less about like, oh, come, and more about like, what's valuable to you,
Yep.
and just starting having conversations.
Well, I haven't worked at the thrift shop or anything, but I've heard that a lot of the students go there.
yeah.
That's a
And
good
they
point,
use it.
yeah, that's a good.
They,
thought.
especially Saturday. So maybe we piggyback.
Yeah, that
something
would be
on that,
great. That's a
doing
really good
something.
idea.
Yeah.
So maybe know,
Cause we
know
have
that
all that
that
outdoor
space-
space at the
Right, and they're
library.
familiar with it, yeah.
Food,
Yeah,
bring
food
food.
is the thing, yeah,
Saturday.
it helps.
it does help.
Yeah, I think that that's an idea. I'd like, so let's think
And the
about it.
campus bus does run later. I think it's the community bus that doesn't run late, but the campus bus has different hours, so.
Mhm. I'm just envisioning like a bunch of cornhole and stuff out there. Food, music,
Yeah.
and then brochures on voting. All right,
So,
the last thing I wanna bring up and then we'll be.
Welcome to our town, just
Yeah.
started that.
Welcome
right.
to our town.
Yeah.
Alright, I wanna end by 7, so the last thing I wanna bring up is, this is totally selfish on my point, and I have not talked to Malcolm at all about this, and it's okay, you can say no, but, my greatest weakness, I am good at thinking and having wonderful thoughts, but I am not good at, organization.
Same.
I am
So I'm not
terrible
gonna
at
be the fill-in for that,
organization,
yeah.
and so I would like a co-chair to just keep me on task, just call me up or email me to make sure I'm keeping up with things, and I would like to nominate informally Malcolm to be my co-chair to help me just keep straight. I'm not asking you to do a lot, just to keep me moving forward so we get this stuff done. Would you be willing?
Did
You can think about
members
it.
of the committee feel about us as in enough structure like that? We've been pretty structure free
Yeah,
and.
this is totally selfish on my point. Does anybody feel that way?
There be kind of consensus or buy-in is
Yeah,
important. to
yeah,
me.
definitely. And it's okay.
Formalizing something like that.
As someone with a similar strengths and weakness set, I totally support you in
Okay.
getting this for yourself. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on this, Danny?
Yeah, I agree with Malcolm. It was generally kind of free range at the before. I'm open to there being structure, and I think that would be helpful, but whatever you guys come up with, I'm both supportive of everyone that makes that decision. That's fine.
What if I write an email to everybody on the committee and just, and they can write back to me anonymously and give me their thoughts? Is that okay? With everybody?
That works.
All right, I'll do that and then we will move forward from there.
And thank you so much, Matt, for checking in with the committee members about current level of interest and staying on.
Yeah,
What did you hear back from folks besides those here present tonight? Who are we?
I have not heard from just like 2 other committee members, period. But we'll deal with that next meeting because there are other things that we can move forward with. But I also have not physically called those 2 members, so I intend to physically just call them to make sure that their emails that they're getting, and then I'll move on.
So is it just us and maybe those?
There's
two?
a couple other people,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that are involved, they just weren't able to come tonight. There, anything else?
I just want to reflect that just asking questions and just having these conversations is so valuable because like it just orients at least my brain to this stuff in a way that I think is important and can get overlooked. And like we're the people like kind of charged with making sure that we're at least thinking about this. And I think it's super helpful to just have conversations and ask good questions.
Okay. In wrap up, I need to, so just, this is the wrap up here for me, the action things. That is, I want to follow up with Clint about, follow up with Clint on retreat guidelines. And then, two, we're thinking of Dustin Ward possibly asking if he could do a community part of it, just ask him, just check him and ask him.
Checking in with
Yeah.
Clint, check in with what kind of.
Yeah, I'll check in
conversations
with
we
him,
have
all right.
with him.
Follow up with Clint on guidelines for retreat and if Dustin still still has
I think maybe you want to check on
Yeah.
what his.
Yeah.
What their conversation was about involving community, you know what?
Dustin, involvement with community.
I threw that
I will
out there
do
just
that.
because I didn't
Yep.
want you to do all kinds of work to find someone only to find that this was being done.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Thank you. So those are the two things that I'll follow up with Clint. And then the task for us as a committee is to think about this space. And then also Danny has expanded that as to how we can welcome people here more even before they get here. How that might be, how we advertise for things to diverse communities about Orono committees, events and whatnot. So those are the two things for us to think about. Or that's two things. And then a third thing is the route to is we have to start thinking about language. And maybe we can pass emails about language that we would recommendations that we would give to the committee about moving forward with Route 2. These are things that the committee suggests that you make sure are a priority.
Well, can we find out what they're, like, are they getting a disability consultant, like, to make sure that their design is accessible? And like, how are they vetting that person?
Yeah, I'm not
Because
sure
from what I've
we're
read
at.
online, sometimes it's
So,
not someone who has quite enough
think
knowledge.
We're at the point with Route 2, this is more, we recommend that if you go forward with it, that you have this as part of it, because we're not even at that point. We're like, so not there yet. We're still trying to figure out whether we'll even move forward with any kind of idea that's come forward or whether we'll do more studies. We're not there yet, but I think that's why I want us to have this recommendation given to them.
At the very least, we can look back at the data that we've gathered, the survey and public input since the survey to see which of the things identified has bearing on
Yeah,
a major project to the thoroughfare.
yep. So those are, does that make sense? Those things to think about? And then I just want one more, how can we consider students? And then I will email everybody about possibly having a co-chair or something just to help me with organization with this, to make sure I follow through on things. And that I'm hearing that I'm not missing something big. Is that good? All right, we will adjourn. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Danny.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next month.
All right.
Meet you,
Bye.
nice to meet you.
Bye.
I couldn't see you, so I don't know if I met you.